I'm doing something I've never done before, which is get off 270 and visit the scenic view. Never been here. I guess you get a view of the clustered spires of Frederick from here. Can we see the clustered spires of Frederick? Not really. This is the Monocacy Valley, where in 1864 a battle was fought that saved Washington. The Battle of Monocacy, a Civil War battle. What happened was General Lew Wallace and some troops put up resistance against Jubal Early's Confederates, who were threatening to invade Washington. And the day-long delay gave General Grant the opportunity to rush some troops up to defend D.C. That's what happened down there. We're at the site of the Battle of South Mountain. To be precise, Fox's Gap. Near Fox's Gap. That's where we are. There are some interesting stories here about ghost dogs. One in particular called the Snarly Yow. This is old Route 40. And the story goes that people come up old Route 40 and they see a huge snarling black dog in the middle of the road that disappears. Whenever I take people up to Antietam, Harper's Ferry and thereabouts, and we go in this direction, we go this way, I always tell them about the Snarly Yow. I actually spoke to a woman who is from Middletown, which is the community down that way, and she claims to have seen a ghost dog on this road. She said when she was a little girl, she heard the sound, she was on the road, and she heard the sound of a clanking chain, and she turned around to see a headless dog with a chain around its neck, dragging the chain. Ooh, that was at work. Right now, I'm going to go up to the Washington Monument State Park. I've never been there. As many times as I've been here, I've never been there. Well, everybody knows about the big tall obelisk in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument. Everyone's familiar with that one. But this is the first. I am in the South Mountain, well, I am on the South Mountain Range in Boonesboro, Maryland, and this was the very first Washington Monument. Volunteer villagers of nearby Boonesboro celebrated their Independence Day, July 4th, 1827, by building and dedicating the first monument to the memory of George Washington. Repaired and altered many times over 100 years by patriotic citizens, it was finally restored to its original design in 1934 by the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC. Hello! This monument, used by the Union Army during the Civil War as a signal station and its surrounding land, was bought by the Washington County Historical Society in 1922 and presented to the state of Maryland for park development in 1934.
Chimney sticking up, that's the tower, it's probably named.
That gap where in all the trees, that's Antietam National Battlefield Park.
Battlefield, yeah.
And that water tower down there,
With all the monuments that you have
this gentleman tells me, is Keedysville, which is my next stop, the Red Bird, place I've eaten in many, many times. But this is the view you get from the original and first Washington Monument here in Maryland. There's a butterfly cruising at a very high elevation. Monarch butterfly. Very nice. Here's There's the guide. Shepherdtown, West Virginia. That's another destination for today. That's down that direction. That's where we're headed. I pointed out that that structure was the first Washington monument. An older gentleman at the top of the tower corrected me. He said that that site is the site of the first Washington monument, but that tower is not original. It got shattered by lightning a few times in its history, crumbled apart, was rebuilt, that sort of thing. Oh, the Redbird, a favorite reenacting haunt. The food is good, it's inexpensive, and all the waitresses call you hun. I've been dining here since 1984. Wow, 35 years. How time flies. Before we go into the Redbird to eat, let's check out these cars in the parking lot. A Mercury Cyclone with a 289 engine. I am not certain what year this is. That steering column suggests a 68, but I'm thinking 65. I don't know. I'll look it up in post-production and let you know. Well, that's a 67. And this is a Sky Chief, a Pontiac Sky Chief. Once again, I'm not certain of the year, but I can look that up in post-production too. Oh, did I say Star Chief? I misread it. Wow, look at that dashboard. Very cool. A completely successful lunch. I had a great burger, and 2 waitresses called me hun. I see there used to be a railroad running through town at this point. And as many times as I've been to Antietam, I've never stopped here. Keedysville, headquarters and hospital town. This plaque talks about how after the Battle of South Mountain, the bloodiest day, well, Antietam, the bloodiest day in American history, Keedysville became one vast Union hospital. I used to know a park ranger who worked at Antietam who actually lived in this house. I asked him if he thought it was haunted. He said absolutely. He could hear thumps and creakings and ghostly footsteps on the floors all the time. Interesting story he told me was that one time they were doing some trenching to run a power line up to the house, and they trenched up to one of the windows and they found all sorts of human arm and leg bones. When this house was used as a hospital, apparently they were just pitching the limbs outside the window. One other story was that there was some construction going on here, and some of the workers saw some ghosts or something, and they had a hard time getting a crew back in the place. So there we go, the Pry House on the Antietam battlefield site. This is the Antietam battlefield and the visitor center on a beautiful day, early fall. I'm looking for a friend of mine that I know works here. People at the desk tell me he's out in the field somewhere. Maybe I'll find him, maybe I won't. Lots of bicyclists here. That's the Maryland Monument. When I used to be a Civil War reenactor with the 3rd Maryland, we used to set up our tents up around there, do demonstrations for the public, that sort of thing. I never ever had a good night's sleep on this battlefield. It was always dreams and explosions and flashings of lights and nothing really distinct, just troubled.
Yes, we'll rally round the flag, boys, we'll rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We will rally from the hillside, we'll gather from the plain, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor, up with the star. While we rally round the flag, boys, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We are springing to the call of our brothers gone before, shouting the battle cry of freedom, and we'll fill the vacant ranks with 1,000,000 freemen more, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor, up with the star. While we rally round the flag, boys, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
This is Shepherdtown, West Virginia. Downtown Shepherdtown. Nice courthouse, pretty weather vane, nice Harley. But what really stopped me dead in my tracks was this Jeep. Look at that. Pretty cool, pretty cool. What, wait a minute, there's got to be reenactors around or something. Who's watching this Jeep?
Me!
Okay. I thought somebody had to be.
Yes, that's me. It's World War II, 1941.
Uh-huh.
And I got it from a farmer that was plowing his fields with it.
Wow.
And we want it sold to anybody.
Does it have that multiple stop light switch that a friend of mine has one of these
Oh, no kidding.
in Burbank, California. He's got a Willys.
Yeah, this is the Willys.
He was demonstrating the lights.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's got the blackout lights.
Blackout lights, that's what they're called.
That's right.
Very nice.
And I let people get in there and take a picture of you, whatever you want to do.
Well, you're going to be in my motorcycle blog today.
That's great. And where are you coming from?
Virginia.
Okay.
The attention to detail here is really nice. Look at this.
Just came out of the war. And they K-rations and spent casings everywhere.
Ammo cans, goggles, a field phone. Very, very nice.
And a lot of people are reminded of Rat Patrol.
Martinsburg, West Virginia. Virginia Avenue in Martinsburg. 710 Virginia Avenue. 24 years ago, I owned this house. This is where my mom used to live. She died in 1995 and I inherited it. Fixed it up, did some work on it, sold it in May 1996. It's where my kids used to play. We'd drive out here from Springfield and have Thanksgiving dinner with my mother. It's a pretty cool grandma house, actually. When she owned it, it was yellow. There used to be a real cool bookstore here. No more. Across the street from the public library is the Berkeley County Courthouse, a grand old building I have always admired, and when we went to sell my mom's house, it's where we had to go through probate. But the reason I'm here is because this library has something I have always coveted. This cigar store Indian. Beautiful example. Stood outside the Mance Tobacco Shop on Queen Street, donated to the library by Mr. and Mrs. Porterfield. Mance. Probably worth $10,000 or more. I don't know what the going rate is on these. But I have wanted this ever since my mom lived here. A really nice example of a cigar store Indian here in downtown Martinsburg. This is the men's room at the Antietam Visitor Center. I once had occasion to use the men's room, and I was sitting in there and I looked on a stall and I saw somebody had written, "The South won here," underlined. In the men's room? Hey, 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 look who I found at the Antietam Battlefield Park. My old pal, Casey Kirkman, late of the 81st Pennsylvania. You and I used to reenact in Utah. It was cool, it was great, and that's when he was 16 years old. 16.
That's not the big deal until you realize how old I am. We won't talk about that.
I'm older than you are. I'm 63, dude.
10 years younger than you.
Yeah.
I always will.
Well, okay, and you always will be.
That's good.
All right, but anyway, great day here at Antietam, and now it's time for me to take my iron steed back home. What a great ride today, a beautiful day. 206 miles to Antietam and other points. Great ride, great Friday. I wish every day could be like this.
Ride free, brother. Ride free.